Well, good day, Michael here. Today, after the last test that I did on the HJF Survive 5 knife, I thought, you know what, a really good comparison would be to take this Sitivien that I've got here and run the same test and just see how this Sitivien performs compared to those other two knives. The ST26 in n690, will it keep up in its performance, or is it going to struggle to perform what the other two knives did? It's a good comparison because Sitivien is well known in the knife community and it's a good sized knife for the test. We can see it's sharp enough for the test, which is good. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the 90 cuts of rope, then I'm going to do the 30 cuts of the plastic, followed by the 2 cross batons of the axe handle, and then I'm going to do the pine kindling, and we're going to have a look at the edge and compare it to the two knives from yesterday and just see how it actually performs in comparison to those two. So I'm not going to take you through every step of the way, but I'm just going to do the test and bring you back into it just so that you can see what's going on with the edge. We're doing lots of paper tests along the way. So that's the plan, and I hope it's worthwhile doing all this. So let's commence first of all with the the cut test on this rope, and we shall get back to you very soon to see how those 90 cuts went. So I've now done the 90 cuts, and let's see what the blade's looking like. At about 70 cuts it wasn't going so good, and I can see glittering quite heavily along the edge there, so it's definitely not going to pass. Yeah, you can see it's hanging up. So to be honest, it's probably doing the same as the brother. It's really hanging up along that edge quite badly. And I've done a lot better, so I don't know what's going on with that. Last test I did was quite good. Yeah, so it's obviously having issues along that edge. Yeah. So I would say about 70 it was failing, maybe even 60, and you can definitely see glittering along that edge. So that's the edge retention test, and the HJF has exceeded, remembering that at 90 it was only just failing. One slight little nick, and the rest of it was good, and it had plenty of bite and cutting power. But that's the test. But this one, definitely 90, bad, failing, and it wasn't doing good at 60, 70. Yeah, you can see it's written off there. So I'm going to do, did I do a strop back next or after the plastic? I can't remember. I think I did one next, so I'll do the strop back. Hope this is in the right order. And I think the edge damage is too much for the strop. It's not too bad. Actually, that's pretty good. So it did drop back, not perfectly, but a heck of a lot better. Pretty good. Right, next test is the plastic, and we're going to do 30 batons through that, and then we'll come back and see what that edge is like. See you then. So we're back at the stump, and we're going to do 30 batons through this plastic. So I'll just do one to show you if you didn't see yesterday's video. So that's a baton, so it's going into the same hard timber with the same sawdust on top. So I'm going to do 30 of those and come back. So I've done the 30 cuts and it's not looking too bad actually. So let's do a quick paper test and then we will do the 2 batons. So yeah, there is that big hang up there, right there, where it's been doing the chopping, and obviously I can see some glinting there. It's not too bad though, you're not going to be able to see it. But I will show you, once I've batoned through those 2 pieces of wood, so it's just a little bit of glinting, we shall have a look at the magnifying glass to see what damage has been done, just like the others. So while you're here, let's do the 2 cross batons. One. That quite easily actually. So it's a good knife for those sort of things. 2. Right, we shall set up the magnifying glass. Yeah, so there's obviously pretty bad there now. So it's a good test for its toughness. Let's get the camera set up and then we'll quickly have a look at the edge. Righto, let's see if I can get this. Got to look at 2 screens at once here. And try and get them both in focus. So I think I might be pulling that back too far. So that's all pretty good along there. Ooh, that's just dust or something. Still a bit of grit on. Bit of rope. Let's try it again. Go that way. Right, you can see some of the damage there, but honestly, it's not really too bad. A blowout there. Now I can't. Ugh. In. Okay. It's good to do this, but it's hard to do. Joseph makes it look easy. You can see the damage along there, that's where it's really grabbing the paper. The light's not the best either, which isn't helping. Right, so next thing I'm going to do is break down this log into some pine sticks, like that, and that's almost the last bit of the test. So, where's my baton? I've really cut this on a silly angle. So we're just going to baton through all that and see what that does to the edge, and we'll see when I get back. Righto, so there's our pile of kindling, and now we'll go back to the table, clean this up, and we'll do a test of the edge. So we've cleaned up the edge, and let's do a bit of a paper cut, which is going to be terrible, of course, but no worse than the other knives, so totally written off after that pine. But let's take a look at the edge, because this is where we saw a lot of damage on the other knives, and then I'll do a strop back, 10 more paper cuts. So let's have a look. You know what? It's looking pretty good. Actually, you can see a lot of the scratch patterns gone. There's no big blowouts. Yeah, it's rough, but there's no big chip outs. Well, that's getting into relatively good edge there. Yeah, it's rough, especially through there where it's done most of the chopping. So through there's the worst. But I don't think it's any worse than yesterday's blades. In fact, I think it might be better. The edge retention wasn't as good, but it's done really well previous. So it depends what grit, and I can't remember what grit I had it on. But really, it's for 690, n690. Pretty good. Pretty good, and it's done exactly the same work as the HJF. And about the same amount of money, by the way. But it's thinner behind the edge on the HJF. It's fascinating to look at this and just to have a good close look. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Good old Sitivien, but for that test that I did, it didn't perform as well on edge retention, but previous to this it's perform quite well. So a lot's probably going to get down to your what grit you're using and all that sort of thing. So just behind the edge there, yeah, it's 60 thousandths. Oh, hang on. No, Michael. That's millimeters. It's 24.5. Well, that's actually pretty... That's compared to the H. I think that's about the same. 24 thousandths compared to about the same, I think, on the HJF. So, ladies and gentlemen, YouTube knife enthusiasts, you gotta say that the Sitivien has done pretty well. Let's do the 4 strops and then do a paper cut. Oh, I didn't do the cut test, but I can do that in a second just to see what it feels like. I should be showing you this. Did it off camera for some reason. I'm not used to having the camera in this position. Oh, one more. I think that's 4. And I'll just do a light one on the fine side. And let's do a quick paper cut test. And see how it's done. Yeah, it's bumpy through there, but you know, I think that even might be better than the other 2 knives. It's on that strop back. Let's do one more piece of paper. I have to go back and look at the footage from yesterday, but I've got a sneaky suspicion that this might have actually stropped back better than the other knives. But remembering, yeah, not too bad. I mean, obviously there's a glitch through there, but pretty good. Let's do a quick 10 cuts just to see if it's still cutting. Sorry about the camera work. I'm probably not even going to edit that out. Bad luck. Bygones. Let's see how it's actually cutting. It did lose its slick after about 30 cuts. Well, about the same as yesterday actually. After the strop back, is cutting quite well. In fact, very well. I don't think it's any worse than the other knives, that's for sure. Better than the brother. Yeah. Nice. So strop back very well. 10 cuts, easy peasy. And that's pretty much the end of the test. And you know what? I actually think if you do the overall test, this knife is certainly no worse, and to my naked eye I think there's actually less damage. Can that possibly be? Can that be? For n690. So you would have to say, yeah, there's a big blemish through there. You would have to say Sitivien have done an excellent job of this knife, and I would have to think that that is around 60 HRC. I'd be very surprised if that came under 60 for what it just did. If it was soft, it would have dings. If it was too hard, it would have chips out of it. And it's actually done, you've seen the footage, it's actually done very well. Very well. So well done, Sitivien. I'd have to work on that, the grit finish and whatnot to get a better result with the rope. It has got a great result before. I don't know why it did poorly today, but it did, so there you go. We shall see next time. So that's all for today. Have a great day or evening. Michael out.